Dear Morrie, I hope this letter finds you well. I have been reading as always. The latest book I read was called Anon. It was written by Badham, an Australian woman. The girl at the bookshop counter told me she had done some amazing TED Talks, but I confess I've never heard of her. I had kept hearing of QAnon. They had been mentioned in different areas of YouTube, as well as when the former Prime Minister had a friend that was a member. The book opens with the progenitors of QAnon and how 4chan was weaponized against women. As someone who was largely offline during the Gamergate era, the internet story of Zoe Quinn horrifies me. I have some friends with some less than savoury views, let's call them. And so, when they were telling me about all these things, I didn't really understand what it was all about. Reading the actual beliefs and harassment campaigns, as well as the internet hive mind they'd been drawn into, saddens me. I did take it to heart the suggestion that the best thing you can do for these friends is to remain present in their lives. So the idea of leaving these echo chambers is less isolating. One struggle I had with the book was its ability to get lost into tangents. Given my own neurological quirks, I can absolutely understand and forgive them, but it did make it more difficult to follow stories sometimes. I will grant this is likely also due to the aforementioned neurological quirk. The story of the pizza shop and the events surrounding it was simultaneously the hardest for me to follow, but also the most fascinating. It has been particularly interesting to me given that in America, Alex Jones has his court case wrapping up. I wonder if after Sandy Hook, the owner of the pizza shop may want to also consider legal action. Hearing what Jones and the people within the QAnon conspiracy genuinely believe seems surreal to me. But I know all too well people do believe it. When vaccines were first becoming available, I had a friend I had not heard from in a long time reach out to me. While our conversation was pleasant at first, it eventually spiraled. They began telling me they were seeing people forced off the streets and the military was taking over control and people were forcibly being injected. At the time I was concerned that they may have been having a schizophrenic episode. They seemed to be having delusions and hallucinations. Due to other circumstances, I knew I wasn't the one to reach out, but I did ask our mutual friend to keep an eye on them. Reading this book now, with the benefit of hindsight, I know I've lost this friend to the QAnon cult. I probably have for many years. I remember back to the time of Gamergate in the 2016 election. The views they had expressed to me during our time spent together probably had some subtle undertones. Intellectually, I understand there's no way I could have picked up on the subtext or the subtle signs. And even if I had, I doubt they would have listened to me. There's still a small part of me that feels guilty. What if I had have discouraged them? A bigger part of me feels deeply sad. I miss my friend. I miss their good heart. I miss their instinct to help people. I miss their sense of humour. I miss that during some of my darkest days, they were the person that reached out, and now they're gone to me. I hope I've learnt my lesson. I hope I won't let the more subtle inferences now go unchallenged, and I hope that I can stop people on the brink. The rise of conspiracies like this always cause me concern. The discussions surrounding stochastic terrorism and the violence happening in America and how it's being transplanted onto my own shores, it worries me. The idea of a sometimes violent internet harassment wave, that chills me. For right now, though, all I can hope is to try and form connections with people on a personal level, to foster empathy. I can be aware of traps, pitfalls, warning signs. I can try and challenge their divisive ideology with empathy and genuine curiosity. I try to remember what a favourite series of mine says. Don't forget to love each other. I hope this letter finds you safe, well, and free from these radical people. Sending my love, Miss L.